Well, as we approach the end of a busy weekend in the FA Cup, we can turn our attention back to the EFL Championship as we return for a mini match week with three rearranged games. Across Tuesday and Wednesday night, we'll see six teams in action. And of course, as always, we are going to preview and predict the scorelines for each of those matches. We'll encourage you to do the same in the comments below. And if you beat or match our overall score across the three games, then you will get a shout out on Thursday when we look ahead to the full weekend fixture list, which is coming up next weekend. A big week for the EFL and the Championship because, of course, next Sunday, we see the return to free-to-air TV in the UK. But for now, before we move on to Matchweek 26.5, we'll call it, we've got to have a look back at what happened last weekend when all 24 teams were in action. It was another low-scoring week generally. I was part of that with just 6 points overall. An unfortunate perfect score at the end, which saw the end of Rob Edwards for Luton Town. A very fortunate winner, I think you might say, for QPR. Also got points for Bristol City, for Norwich City and for Sunderland, and lost three very late on due to Swansea and Joe Allen's equaliser, which became a pretty infamous moment that weekend. Beating me though, there are loads of you in the comments and a couple who are level as well. This guy and Tony level with us on 6. Bandit one above that on 7. Tim and Mello 8 points apiece for two of our regulars, with Chris and Akshay on 9. Then into double figures, a return to form for Gordon with 10. Peter and Ojo, two of the regulars, on 11. Etienne and Steve joint second place this week with 12, behind Brian on 13 points at the top of the tree. Loads of you getting the Championship's favourite scorelines among your predictions. It was a very bad week to only put one in there, which is what I did. We shunned the favourite scoreline after it had had a quiet few weeks and it came back to bite us. There were 3 overall, and if you had predicted all 1-all draws, you would have got 12 points and been joint second this weekend. So a tough match week 26, but we can return to form with a mini midweek edition. We start our 3-game circuit with Cardiff City versus Watford, two sides that have got ambitions at slightly different ends of the table. Cardiff currently second bottom on goal difference, level with Hull and Portsmouth, and a chance for them to climb above, particularly having that game in hand on Hull City, and of course could drag Luton further into trouble as well. For Watford, 4 defeats in a row, including that FA Cup one, and the goals are starting to go in at the other end. The home form drying up with 2 defeats in a row, and 7 goals conceded in the last 3 Championship games, compounded with 4 conceded at Fulham in the Cup. And bar that win at home to Pompey, which was a narrow last-minute one, it's been a very tough spell for Watford recently. It'll be interesting to see if they can bounce back with an away record that has been pretty tepid all year, it must be said. For Cardiff, starting to find a little bit of form again after that rotten spell between mid-November and December. 4 unbeaten now, including a great cup win at Sheffield United. Good points against Middlesbrough and Coventry, particularly when you consider that Callum Robinson got sent off in that Coventry game. And then that win at Watford, of course, a few weeks prior, will give them confidence going into this one. They've won away at Watford when they were almost invincible at Vicarage Road. Now can they do the job at home where they're slightly better? It's going to be a tough ask this season because Cardiff are not the most consistent side. They've not got bundles of firepower. They've not scored many goals. It's 25 in 25 for them. But Watford aren't great on the road. And that just makes me think a little midweek rearranged game, probably not going to be the most exciting. Maybe Cardiff can nick it. They're in the better form of the two. So I'm going to go for the home side to win. I don't think this will be a pretty game for anyone to watch. I'm going to go for the same score as Cardiff got in the Cup on Friday. 1-0 at home to Watford. The other game on Tuesday night is a huge one in that bottom third of the table. It is bottom of the table Plymouth Argyle against 17th place and resurgent under Gary Rowell at Oxford United. Or are they? Because they were one of the surprises of the FA Cup weekend. Their dismal away form compounded with a 3-1 defeat away at Exeter City, but more crucially, a sending off for Tyler Goodrum as well. It was a really poor day at the office after going ahead. But overall, it's been a brilliant start for Rowett. 3 wins in a row, including that smash and grab at his former club Millwall. Got the draw at Preston as well. Doing a really good job there to get a 1-all. 10 points out of 4 games. And they're now 5 clear of that relegation zone. They will be eager to avoid defeat here. The Preston game, they should have been beaten. They were completely outplayed. But they somehow managed to cling on for a point. Now can they find a way? Away from home, it's not often been possible this season. And Plymouth, of course, are going to be resurgent because there is no more Wayne Rooney, and suddenly They know how to keep clean sheets after that 0-0 against Stoke. Well, let's be fair, they did cling on and ride their luck a little bit. And then a 1-0 win, the shock of the round against Brentford in the FA Cup, a moment of Morgan Whittaker magic after basically sitting behind the ball and not having much of an intent to attack all game. A really special day for the interim manager, but it is now the turn of Miran Muslic. You can see what we made of his appointment and his history up in the eye above. That special was there yesterday, but this is going to be important. Plymouth have been solid at home this season. I say solid in terms of scorelines, not in terms of defensive record. And Oxford United generally find a way to score in most games. The last time they failed 2 or 6 games ago away Leeds United when they were hammered. So I think on this one, Plymouth's home record will prevail. I think they're going to make it tight at the bottom. I think there will be a new manager bounce. And I think they will set up more solidly for the reasons we discussed in that special. And Gary Rowett, while he's had the perfect start at Oxford, the away performances haven't been great. And I still think they're particularly ropey on the road. So I'm going to go for Plymouth to win a fairly exciting game. I'm going to go for the host to nick it by 2-1, which will make the bottom of the table very interesting. And in our final game on Wednesday night, we see another of those sides in relegation contention in action. And against another side chasing the playoffs, it is Blackburn Rovers versus Portsmouth. Blackburn with a big 1-0 win in the cup away at Middlesbrough as John Eustace continues to increase his transfer budget for the month. That follows a spell in the league that has been difficult in terms of fixtures and results. Obviously lost against Burnley, drew with Leeds and Sunderland, lost to Millwall and Hull. But bar the Hull game at home, which was a very disappointing day, the other 4 are all very difficult matches. So don't think there's too much to worry about with Blackburn. They're still having a good season, just 1 point off the playoffs. Whether they can get 1 or 2 in January, I don't know. They're going to be working on a budget. But John Eustace defying expectations because most of us probably thought they'd be where Pompey are this year. For Portsmouth, disappointing night away at Wycombe. But before that, a big win at home to Swansea, some difficult days on the road. And I think that's what you have to say about Pompey at the minute. At home, they've looked so much better recently. They've been putting goals in for fun, but 4 past Swansea, 4 past Coventry, 3 past Preston not long before that, and 3 past Bristol City as well. However, on the road recently, beaten in the last minute at Watford, battered at Derby, battered at Bristol City, tried to cling on but showed no real intent against Sunderland. And then at Wycombe in the Cup, yes, a side that are very confident in League One, but weren't able to break them down. Only had 2 shots on target the whole game. It just seems that whatever side Pompey put out away from home, they're really struggling to get results. So for this one, I'm going to complete the clean sweep and go for a home win at Blackburn back to league form, into the playoffs briefly before the weekend fixtures. I'm going to go for Blackburn to win pretty comfortably by 2-0 against Portsmouth. So with that out of the way, let's have a quick recap of what I've gone for in these 3 matches. 3 home wins, 3 fairly low scoring games. I'm not predicting the most exciting rearranged fixtures, but I am predicting a big day for bottom of the table Plymouth and for second bottom Cardiff on Tuesday, whereas the relegation candidates will not go so well on Wednesday night with Pompey losing away to Blackburn Rovers. So those are just my predictions for these 3 midweek fixtures. Let us know your score predictions in the comments below. If you beat or match my overall score, you'll get a shout out on Thursday when we return to a full fixture list for the weekend action. If you're looking forward to that and you did enjoy this one, please do chuck a thumbs up on it, subscribe and turn that notification bell on. Don't forget you can see all of the recent manager specials up in the eye above. We're still waiting on West Brom and Luton at the time of recording. You can see what I think of all the other new appointments up in that playlist there. For now though, thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the midweek fixtures, enjoy the other Championship FA Cup ties, and I'll see you back here on Thursday afternoon as we look ahead to a full weekend fixture list.